Hello. If you do not know me, my name is Christian, or JC Dittmer II, and I have just released an album called Within the Blood, Life Is. Now, today we will be looking at one track in particular. This will sort of be like what I did with my last album, where, I make a video explaining my process, how I made all of the sounds and recorded it. But this will be a bit different because, for one, I'll actually be looking at the original Logic Pro file and, breaking it down. And secondly, I will not be talking about the lyrics, because, well, that's kind of for you to interpret, and I also want to waste as little of your time as possible. So we'll just be looking at this one track, because it would take way too long to go through the whole album. But yeah, this is the last one, track 7. It's called Leaves, and I'm hoping the audio works for this whole video. I've had to record this at least twice, and like halfway through, the audio would like stop, or it is just really weird. And by the way, this isn't even connected. It's just here for aesthetic reasons, I guess. But yeah, this is the microphone I used to record all of my vocals with. It's leagues ahead of the one I used last time, which is this. The isolation on this thing is just terrible, and it would always keep picking up noises outside of my room or where I was recording. And yeah, I like this one a lot better. So this is just to show you. So the very first thing in this song that we hear is this really low register, like, oh, or I don't know how to vocalize it, but it's that. So that's my heartbeat. I just took a microphone and put it like right here and pressed record. And yeah, I used that sound effect in a few other tracks too. Let me show you. Yeah, the first instance of me using it is in Hevel at the very beginning here. Um, we have these 6 clicks, and then if you listen closely, you can hear this noise underneath it. That's my heartbeat. And then you can hear it again in Am I Crazy? And the intro to that song as well. Let me play the original and then I'll solo it. You may have been able to hear it, but here's what it sounds like on its own. It's very low in the bass region of the, yeah, but it's there. It's at the end of the track too. But back to Leaves. So what I did was I made this percussion beat entirely out of recorded samples from my, like, I don't know, sound effects library. And so this second sound that we hear is actually my dog scratching at the door. Uh, yeah, I also use that sound in Hevel as well, in the intro right here. That one is more distorted, but yeah, it's the same sound effect. Let me see if I can find the original sound effect for reference. Okay, here it is. Yep, it's like a glass door, as you can hear, and yeah, he wants to get in. So, but yeah, definitely one of my more obscure samples. And then after that, we have the namesake for the song, Leaves. I just, went outside, grabbed some like dried up leaves and crunched them in front of my microphone, over a paper plate. Of course, I don't want to make a mess. And then those two samples join together and start to make, their own percussion beat. Now, the last part of this artificial drum line is a few like delayed taps. So that's me tapping on my classical guitar. Yeah. But then I put a few delay effects on it to where in one ear it taps like half the speed of the other ear. Like as you can see on the left side, it's at a quarter note, and then on the right side it taps at an eighth note. And so this, I don't know, it just ended up sounding like this, and just thought it was cool. Then finally, the tonality or the actual music of this song comes in through the piano. Now this piano line was, well, the first thing that I ever wrote for this song. What I kind of tend to do is write, I don't know, a melody or harmony with the piano or with the guitar, and then match it up with a set of lyrics that I've written. So there isn't really a like chicken and egg question of what I wrote first, the lyrics or the music. They kind of arose at the same time. I just decided to join them together later. And that's the case for quite a few other tracks, like, I don't know, Am I Crazy, so on. But yeah, when this was just like a piano line, the this file was just titled Tom York because I tend to name piano ideas based on the artists that they're kind of most similar to or most inspired by. And this specific line kind of I found to be similar to this one song from York's first solo album. The song is called Analyze, and the piano part to that song is pretty cool and sort of inspired this one, but it still sounds quite a bit different, I think. An interesting thing about this piano part is that it never really ends or starts on the one of the beat, except at the very beginning when it's introduced. So let me show you what I mean. Um, so this line right here underneath the number, that's the one of the beat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's, yeah, there isn't a note there anymore. It's very syncopated. That's what it's called when you don't really align the notes on the beat itself, more like the beats in between the main beats of 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if I'm making much sense. We also need to note the guitar that comes in. The instrument track is called Blooming Echo, and yeah, I put a ton of pedals and stuff on it. It took like hours to really hone in on the sound that I wanted. Um, but the I think the result is really cool. If you didn't notice, the guitar kind of starts in the right ear and then drifts slowly over to the left. It was pretty difficult to execute because I know how to like pan instruments like once and indefinitely, but to like change the panning throughout the song is not something that I've quite learned how to master. But somehow I was able to do it with this guitar, and I guess I should give myself a pat on the back or something. So yeah, good job me. Anyway, the bass part of the piano comes in, also not really ending or starting on the one, just as syncopated, uh, just as cool. This line is based mostly off of like fifths, perfect fifths and fourths, just going octaves. I don't know. It's in the key of G minor, kind of G harmonic minor a little bit. There are a few like accidentals in there, I think. It's been a while since I've actually played this on the piano. Yeah, if you're into music theory, I'm sure it'd be easy to analyze yourself. Like I purposefully tried to make it not as complicated musically or tonally. And same with the vocal melody too. That it's a really simple phrase Like the first line that you hear me speak is basically just three notes. Dun, no, sorry, four notes. But it's, I don't know, it's more like catchy. It's more tonally centered than some of the other things that that I've written. I don't know. It's just that sometimes if I don't like uh limit myself, I kind of tend to like insert as many weird and interesting notes as I can without taking the time to question whether those notes are really necessary. There's just a lot of prudence and like being minimalistic with your writing. This album was definitely more of a experiment or a study in minimalism. This first vocal line continues. This sound itself is pretty unedited from the original instrument track. It sounds more natural. It sounds kind almost like it's coming from a radio or something like that, but still pretty unaffected, for lack of a better word. But then the second vocal part comes in and it sounds like this. Let me solo it. Your opaqueness is yeah, definitely weirder. As Pa's last ditch. So this also took hours to get right. It also uses pedals like the guitar does. So we have this pedal for the left ear, I think, and then this one for the right. So it might be helpful if I like solo each ear, uh, so you can see what's happening more clearly. See how do I do that? Okay, so here's the left one. Your opaqueness is as clear to and then I'll turn this on. As Pi's last and you hear on the right side there's like a bunch of blemishes kind of like pops or clicks. I don't know how to describe it. I think it really communicates the fragility or the instability of the speaker or the insecurity maybe. Anyway, we learn how their eyeballs are impaired, man, and this this one vocal line is, you know, talking to the other one, saying, "Hey, let me help you," or whatever. This does kind of parallel the last track on Nota Bene, my previous album, in that it's like a conversation or a dialogue between two different speakers, and there's a verse in Latin. That's another similarity. And then this part is pretty cool, where vocal number two is like no, and then vocal number one interrupts the end of the sentence with go. Yeah. And then verse one ends kind of with that guitar note coming in. And I kind of like draw out the me that I'm saying in this line here. Like it fades away, making me think that I'm done, but then I come back on that what is that, a ninth, I think? Yeah, that's a ninth of G minor, so that would be A. All right, so the first chorus, we're kind of led into it with some percussion from the guitar. That's like sounds like this. It's just me tapping on the strings, I suppose. And then we hear piano line number two, which starts in D minor. And then goes back to G minor. And then to C minor. Wait, what is that? Sorry, no, E diminished, which is not C minor. Yeah, it goes to E diminished, which is in like G Dorian, which is almost minor, except the 6 is sharp. Anyway. And then, yeah, that's the flat 6 of C minor. Well, actually, it's more of like an implied C minor, because these chords of A flat major and E flat major are both in C minor. But the E flat major is also in G minor, so it's and anyway. And then the guitar adds some nice ambience, like and then these vocals are, of course, sung with the second, more weird vocal line. But concluding this chorus is the distorted guitar coming in with quarter notes, just, simple 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one thing you may notice is that this melody that the guitar is playing is basically an interpolation of the very first melody sung by the vocals, which sounds like this. To feel but not see, a human contradiction. And then for reference, here's the guitar again. And there's a ton of other stuff going on in that solo too. Like somewhere there's a pinch harmonic. I think that's right there, yeah. A pinch harmonic is basically when you angle the pick a certain way when you play it, and it kind of, instead of playing the note that you're pressing down, it plays a harmonic of it, which is like an entire octave higher, or maybe multiple octaves, I don't know. And then another kind of extended technique that I do is let me find it first. Right there. So that noise, that almost sounds like a yelp. It's me taking a note on the B string, which is the second string from the bottom. And so I'm bending that note all the way off of the fretboard, like that string as well as the E string, of course, because it's right below it. And it makes that noise when it like comes off of the metal bars that separate each fret. And then I also do like a little triplet harmonic minor scale descent. Anyway, and then yeah, it ends with this cool I can't remember if there's like a musical term to describe what's happening here, but I played the same line again, but like a whole step higher and another whole step higher. Like, it's this right here that I'm talking about. And then of course the octave slide. That sounds cool. And just fun fact, my guitar was tuned down to drop D, or the E string was tuned to D for this solo, just cuz. Then we enter into the second verse, this time with a different percussion pattern. So the percussion actually changed as soon as the... So the percussion actually changed right as the guitar solo started. Let me play the beat from the first verse and then compare it with the second verse. And then, starting on the guitar solo, it sounds like this. And then once the solo ends, I add the, guitar tapping, and it starts to sound a bit different, just slightly. Yeah, there's like a bit more syncopation in this beat, but the piano part, basically the same as last time. But now you can see kind of how like the percussion has changed to more align with the piano to where they are hitting the most of the same beats. And after the guitar plays the same melody from the first verse, the vocals kind of change a little bit with the notes that I sing, like so. There's more syllables, there's more, yeah, just notes in general. But still kind of staying within the range of those few notes that I used last time. And then vocal number two's line comes in from a higher note, like dun, 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 kind of mirroring in the opposite way the line before, which came from a lower note, like dun 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 dun, where it's, you know, going back and forth between a few notes, almost like a zigzag. And also in the second verse is what is probably one of the sickest lines in the whole album. And that leads us into the chorus. Same chords, same notes as last time. But here we have both vocals singing together in a canon, at least at first. You probably learned what a canon is in like elementary school music class. It's when one person, one vocalist, or I guess it could be an instrument as well, but when we have one melody that starts on a beat and then another player or vocalist sings that same melody except one or two beats ahead. But the canon technique is something that I also use in Within the Blood, which is inspired by medieval music. The technique was pretty common in that time with some sacred music. So here's an example of it in my song. The second voice comes a beat or two after the first one, but they're saying the same things, just at different times. Medieval music is honestly so underrated. Like, I've really fallen in love with that genre, with all kinds of styles from that era, because there really is a lot of diversity. I mean, what we consider to be medieval really takes place over nearly 1,000 years, from like, I don't know, the 500s to the 1500s, but tangent aside. So the first melody starts 1, 2, and then the second melody. And it's like that for 4 bars, but then halfway through, the canon changes a little bit to where instead the second vocal line is only 1 bar ahead. So here it's still 2 bars ahead, and then 1. And then by omitting a word, I'm able to allow them to start at the same beat in the last 2 bars. Like you notice how here I say will protect me, but in the other one, by not saying will, I'm able to skip a beat and then line up the two melodies together. And all of that is joined for the first time in this track with the Ghost Voice synth, which sounds like this. And it kind of replaces the ambience that the heavily affected guitar did in the last chorus. And as the second chorus ends, with my synchronized S's, the ghost voice still kind of lingers, leading us into the final section. Now, this is the first time that I used the ghost voice in the song, but not the album. I used it quite a bit throughout the album, notably in the first track, Hevel, where it plays this one note, this one high C throughout the entire song. Like this green region at the top here is all one note that's going on throughout the entire song. And I also use it in Am I Crazy, but this time in more of the low to mid-range register. So here it is at the beginning. It plays during those verses and choruses, and it's also what leads us into the coda at the end, right there. So the lingering ghost voice synth leads us into the 7/4 section toward the end of the song, where the piano is playing some jazzy chords, which are taken from the chord progression to Hevel. Now, for reference, that chord progression is D minor 9, and then G flat major 7, C augmented major 7 sharp 9, I think, or like E major 7 over C, and then D major 7, G minor 9, and finally B flat minor 9 for any of you out there who understand chord names. And now looking at the chord progression that's in this section of leaves, they are G minor 9. Remember, the song is in G minor, so that sort of makes sense to start out with. And then D major 7. Now you would expect D dominant 7 because that's in, you know, G harmonic minor, and it's common to be paired with a minor chord, but it's major 7. And then we have E flat minor 9, very out of key. And then C augmented major 7 flat 9. It's the really dissonant chord. Sorry, sharp 9, not flat 9. And then D minor 9. And the percussion comes in, as do my vocals. Speaking, a spoken word poem that I wrote, sort of like the poem in Hevel, this track definitely serves to bookend a lot of ideas presented in that opening track. But the second voice here is actually reading a Latin translation of this Bible verse. I forgot what the specific chapter and book it was in, but it's the it's the verse that life is within the blood comes from. And I actually got that phrase from this random guy who just started talking to me at like a Five Guys. He was telling me about like Jesus and his story with Christianity and that kind of stuff. But the one thing he said that stood out to me is "Life is within the blood," and I thought, hold on, that's a pretty good album title. Anyway, that's as deep as I'm gonna go into the lyrics here. And so yeah, the percussion for this track is even more minimalistic to where I really only have every sample playing together for like 2 bars, and then the leaves go away for 1 bar, come back, and then both the leaves and the dog scratching door are gone. And now it's just the heartbeat and the guitar tapping. And that's the last percussion noise we hear. And then after I say Ani mai piace lo sit, boom, it ends. Or does it? Yeah, if you've listened to the track before, you probably noticed after that part ended, there's still like a minute left in the audio, and that's because there's a little bonus track after a minute or so, a little post-credit scene, if you will. But I do kind of want to talk about the silence for a second, because my intention wasn't for you to like skip that minute of the audio, because as the avant-garde composer John Cage proved, silence can still be music. And 433, if you don't know, that's a piece he wrote that's like 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence. The orchestra is instructed to just sit there holding their instruments but not playing them. And he didn't do this to like, troll the music industry. There was really a genuine purpose to this piece, and when you read into it, I don't know, it's just kind of profound. And that's not the only time that I kind of reference 433. For one, the track Life is coincidentally 4 minutes and 33 seconds long. Exactly. Well, admittedly, it was originally like 4 minutes and 31 seconds. And then I was like, okay, I gotta add another bar at the end. But also, in the track right after that, Within the Blood, I actually sample a YouTube performance of 433 by I think the Berliner Philharmoniker or Orchestra. Originally wanted to use it as like the background noise for the song, except when I actually put it in with the music, it didn't really produce the noises that I was looking for. And when I tried to, reverb it up, it just didn't sound right. I don't know. But I ended up taking the end of it and moving it out a bit more to where you could hear the clapping. And I just positioned the clapping right at the end of the music. So it's kind of like this meta thing where, you know, the audience is clapping for me. Anyway, that wasn't some kind of braggadocious I'm all that kind of statement. If anything, it's really satirical that I added that in there. But anyway, this little mini song at the end starts with the slowly building clicks from these drumsticks right here. So these go to this tongue drum right here. That's what it's called. And it's something that my grandmother gave to me as, a nice little gift. And so these are the drumsticks that came with it. This is also the instrument that you can hear being played throughout the entirety of Life Is. And then with these drumsticks, I use that to create the kind of metronome sound that you hear in Life Is as well. So here it's a slowly building like count of 6. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it's actually in 7/8 time, just like the end of the first part of Leaves was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But here it's actually double time, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Also, another cool thing to note is that this right here, where it cuts out, you can see in the automation that it goes all the way to negative infinity, which is essentially silent. That's basically the same thing that I do in this part of Am I Crazy, where it goes, it builds and then cuts out right there. Then comes back. Cuts out again, kind of creates this, rising and falling dynamic. That's just another allusion to a different track in the album. And yeah, so my vocals are rising with this percussion beat. And then you're just kind of hit with this wall of sound. I don't know why, but I kind of just like to do that, where I leave you in this kind of quiet space, get you comfortable, and then boom, hit you with that. That's basically also what I do in this section of Am I Crazy that I was just talking about. Anyway, let's dissect what's going on here. So we have this guitar from before, the heavily affected panning one, and that is parallel to the distorted guitar. We're playing the same notes. And then using the same sound patch as I did with the distorted guitar that I used for the solo, I recorded myself not singing but like yelling another melody. Definitely very Daniel Pemberton-esque. He tends to, do cool distorted vocal things. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of heavily affected yelling and scores like Into the Spider-Verse, you know? And so that melody is the same as another one played by this bass part. Here's it solo. And instead of recording the bass directly into the laptop, like I did in Life Is, with those basses, I connected my bass, which is right here, to my amp, and then I placed my microphone in front of the amp, and then I recorded myself playing the bass line through the amp with the microphone, instead of just, you know, using a preset or uh, Logic Pro plugin. And yeah, so my vocals get even crazier. You can even hear me like catching my breath like right there, and it kind of throws me off beat. And then the line changes towards the end. It's all hevel, F it up, and I guess I will be seeing you. And then everything just kind of falls apart. And then, of course, my burps. I can't remember what I was recording when I accidentally got my burps in there too. But yeah, I was like, hold on, I can use this. And so I saved that part of me burping. And then yeah, I just put it here in leaves to end on a lighter note because I don't want to take myself too seriously. It's easy to become really cocky and obnoxious if you do that. Now, before we conclude, there's one more thing that I want to show you. Okay, so let's just take a listen to this harmony right here. So it ends on that like minor second B and C. Those notes are right next to each other, so it's very dissonant. But then the like delay effect guitar does this, plays a C major chord, C major seventh chord, which has both B and C in it. So it gives you some resolution out of that dissonance. But that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is this, which you may recognize. The same exact notes, except this time the low end is going the opposite direction as the high end. And leaves, they're both going like towards each other, ending on this dissonant minor second. But this time one's going down, one's going up, and they're ending on a major seventh. But either way, same notes. This was a very clear nod to my last album. This tune appears in Paradoxical Self-Perception, like I just played, and at the end of No True Scotsman, except that time I play it with my guitar. But yeah, that's all. That's it. That's the album. Well, that's not the album, that's Leaves. And now it is time for me to leave. I really hope you can find the time to listen to the whole thing. That'd be really awesome if you could. I mean, it's not perfect. There's still quite a few flaws that I wish I could fix. But I mean, I'm so much more proud of this album than I am of my last one. I just think it sounds so much better. Like I did all of the mixing myself this time instead of handing it off to someone else. But the guy who did do the mixing for my last album kind of walked me through the basics of understanding how to mix stuff. But I definitely think this album benefited from me being completely in control of all of that. Though I also enjoyed the fact that this was probably the most collaborative thing that I've ever worked on. So yeah, I hope you like it. But if you don't, that's okay. Uh, in the words of a really good friend of mine, if something is perfect, then it's not really worth experiencing.